So, what exactly is a fragile truth? Although everyone's definition may differ, to me, they're delicate truths that uncover the hidden seams that we struggle to hold together. In a society obsessed with perfection, it's human nature that we strive to satisfy these ideals, no matter how unattainable they may be. When you become the standard, life is effortless. Neighbors look on with envy, strangers treat you with unearned kindness, and everything seems to fall into place. And so, it's only instinct that we keep on running. But fragile truths, they still have a way of finding us, don't they? Because eventually, your legs give out, your lungs give out, your mind gives out, and you just collapse. And getting back up, it's just not for everyone. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Malikai Shavkat, and my fragile truth is my eating disorder, anorexia nervosa, one that I share with millions of people worldwide. In today's speech, I'll be discussing what I believe to be the 3 factors that perpetuate this vicious cycle of self-destruction and restriction. These being denial, dismissal, and distortion. Denial. It's just a phase. They'll get over it. That kind of thing doesn't happen in our family. Anyone who struggled with anorexia nervosa will find themselves far too familiar with these typical cliches. Perhaps you too might recall a time that these phrases were used in your lifetime. However, with teenagers, it's crucial that we recognize the difference between typical teenage rebellion and the symptoms of a full-fledged disorder. When I rejected my grandma's cooking, it was spoiled behavior. When I refused to wear anything other than oversized hoodies, it was just another phase. When I tried to tell them that something was wrong, I was just overdramatic. It's seemingly harmless phrases like these that create fertile grounds for disaster. And although I recognize that this ignorance is often well-meaning, driven by fear or a lack of experience with the subtle yet distinct symptoms of the disorder, it's just no excuse and simply no solution. Because when everyone insists that you're fine, even as you feel like you're barely staying afloat, you start to wonder if it's all just in your head. And so you too start to deny. A moment from my struggle stands out to me in particular. It was lockdown, and I'd once again gone out on one of my brief mental health runs. This time, I'd squeezed it into a 15-minute slot between my science and my maths lesson. It was hot would be an understatement. Summers in the UAE are notoriously unforgiving. Heat is so intense, it feels like the air itself is on fire. And yet, as I ran under that scorching sun, I felt cold. So freaking cold. And it wasn't an ordinary cold either. It was a venom. And as it settled, so did the paralysis. My breath grew shallow, my bones seemed to liquefy, and my muscles rebelled, locking me in place. Though the sun beat down on me that day, I was trapped in an endless winter that defied all reason. But wasn't this just discipline, though? Wasn't this that same willpower everyone praised me for? For months after that day, I'd reassure myself, I'm fine, I'm just determined. And yet, with each passing moment, I was slipping deeper into destruction. This is the nature of denial. It doesn't just hide the truth. It feeds the lie. Secondly, dismissal. To this day, many fail to see anorexia as anything more than a beauty pageant gone horribly wrong, a struggle confined to overly privileged teenage girls with too much time on their hands. And while I admittedly fit this stereotype, many do not. The truth is, anorexia is a silent and indiscriminate killer. it's not selective with its victims. Contrary to popular belief, an individual can meet all the criteria for anorexia nervosa without ever being underweight. This is atypical anorexia. Like anorexia, it's a serious mental illness that many struggle to accept as a real medical condition. Unlike anorexia, it remains largely out of the limelight. A study conducted by the Stanford School of Medicine investigated patients with atypical anorexia and patients who met the traditional diagnostic criteria, including being underweight. Across the duration of their illness, both groups had lost equal amounts of weight. Vitals, including heart rate and electrolytes, were equally poor amongst both groups. And yet, on average, atypical patients experienced more severe psychological symptoms. So tell me, when did it become a requirement to have a BMI of 13 for your illness to be valid, for it to warrant help? You wouldn't tell somebody with high blood pressure to wait until they suffer a heart attack to seek treatment, nor would you deny someone with depression a therapy because they just don't seem sad enough. So why? Why do we place these arbitrary thresholds on eating disorders? This misunderstanding isn't just academic, it's personal. Being told that you're too healthy to be sick and yet too sick to be healthy is devastating. It leaves you in a limbo, seeing no way out. Because at that moment, there truly isn't. Help is not a given. It has to be earned. And you clearly haven't earned it. No. No, you haven't. Not when there's just a little bit more to lose. A little bit more until you're truly sick. Anorexia is an illness of the mind. The body is a mere symptom. That is often overlooked. Lastly, distortion. The fame of being a well-known eating disorder comes at a cost. With an abundance of fact comes an equal abundance of fiction. And while I recognize that addressing even a fraction of the misconceptions that surround this disorder is impossible, it's crucial to confront the more pervasive myths. The first one being that anorexia is all about control. This phrase, perhaps one of the most frequently thrown around, also happens to be one of my least favorites. And while not overtly as harmful as some of the other misconceptions, it's still annoying nonetheless. Let me just make one thing clear. This disorder is never about just one thing. Its effects extend far beyond appetite, or control for that matter. The truth is, each case is completely unique, so a one-size-fits-all explanation isn't possible. I still remember my therapist telling me to look for control in other aspects of my life outside of my food. Confused, I didn't understand her at all. The media preaches that control is the root cause of all eating disorders, and while this may be true in certain cases, it just isn't universal. For some, it might be about identity, and for others, as superficial as it may seem, it might just be about appearance. I've noticed that there's this unspoken taboo when it comes to discussing aesthetics and anorexia. No one wants to acknowledge it out of fear of seeming shallow. But the truth is, aesthetics play an undeniable and significant role in the disorder. The desire to be skinnier is what led many, including myself, to turn to the illness in the first place. Anyone who's grown up overweight will understand how unbearable the prodding and teasing can feel. Even if you later lose the weight, it leaves a mark, one that doesn't fade with the pounds. That being said, this disorder isn't just a reaction to external comments, because there's thin, and then there's emaciated. Crossing over that line means losing a basic survival instinct, one that no ideal should be able to touch. The second myth I'd like to confront is that anorexia is a choice. A selfish and destructive choice, but a choice nonetheless. And to be completely honest, the answer to that is much more nuanced than a simple yes or no. Think of it this way. Addiction isn't a choice, but those who do have it did choose to get into drugs. Like many people, I initially chose to restrict. Unlike most, that choice eventually stopped being mine to make. Anorexia starts with a choice until it no longer is. It's a choice that you make until you wake up one morning and you realize that the thoughts are indelible. The disorder has become inseparable and indistinguishable from yourself. You're drowning. And just as a drowning person can simply start swimming, a person with anorexia can't simply start eating. You need a lifeline. That lifeline are your friends, your family, medical professionals, and even the media that you consume. With the right support, you gain the ability to float above water. And it's only then that staying sick becomes a choice that you actively make. During the early months of my recovery, I continued to lose weight. Not because I couldn't stop, but because I just didn't want to. My heart was barely pumping. My organs were on the verge of failure. My hair was falling out in clumps, but I kept at it. I refused to let Anna go. And in turn, Anna refused to let go of me. Letting go meant plunging into a reality in which I was utterly alone. And who wants to be alone? At that moment, recovery truly felt pointless. My parents were distraught, my brother was afraid of me, and my friends had vanished. Anna was the only thing I had left. This is why I share my story today. Open dialogue is undoubtedly the best medicine. The moment I felt like my parents understood, saw the disorder for the tormentor it was, and reassured me that they'd stand by me no matter what, did I realize that letting go didn't have to be so scary. What I experienced with my parents taught me something profound. Understanding and support can make all the difference. This is why my message is for everyone here today. Whether or not you have experience with this disorder, we all share a common responsibility to cultivate kindness and compassion within our communities, because Anna is much more common than most people realize. The truth is, anorexia hides in plain sight. Everyone likes to think that they're the exception, immune even, until they aren't. This raises an important question. If you've never directly experienced this disorder yourself, what can you do to make a difference? Beyond educating yourself about the symptoms and the risks, and listening on with empathy, there are meaningful ways to help. Treatment for anorexia is notoriously inaccessible and expensive. Organizations like NEDA and Beat Eating Disorders work tirelessly to provide resources, raise funds in order to make treatment more accessible. By supporting these organizations, be it through charity, volunteering, donating, or by simply spreading the word, you too can make anorexia a choice, not a death sentence. So, here is a list of the less common symptoms of anorexia that you should familiarize yourself with. These include cooking elaborate meals, often not enjoying them yourself, a fixation on food-related content, chronic constipation, overfeeding others, often excessively, an insistence on using specific utensils, and a refusal to sit still. Don't hesitate to start conversations. Voice your concerns, but avoid diagnosing. Your assumptions are yours alone, and for all you know, you might be far from the truth. Instead, encourage seeking professional help, and remain a steady source of support. Recovery is a long and difficult journey, and denial is common. Your help may not be accepted immediately, but your support is invaluable. If the situation poses an immediate risk, seek external assistance immediately. Inform trusted family members of the severity of the situation. For all you know, you might just save someone a lifetime of psychological torment. For survivors, it's our responsibility to speak tirelessly, relentlessly, and unapologetically about our stories. Our stories have the power to destigmatize and change the narrative. Our stories have the power to dispel the shame. We know what it's like to be left with a monster. We know that recovery isn't a battle that can be fought alone. So if we don't speak up, who will? I share my message today in hopes of reaching the mother whose child skips meals under the guise of healthier choices. The father watching their teens strive to lose just a little bit more. The friend who sees the warning signs dismissed with a casual, "I'm fine." This is your wake-up call. The truth is, time is not on our side. But the actions that you take today can be. Every 52 minutes, another family is torn apart. Every 52 minutes, another child, parent, friend is taken. Don't let your loved ones become another statistic. The time to act is now. Thank you.